Welcome to the Influential Agent Real Estate Marketing Podcast, where we unlock the secrets to real estate success one story at a time. I'm your host, Amber Joy, and in this episode, we're thrilled to embark on a remarkable journey from dependency to dominance in the real estate market with a truly exceptional guest, Genevieve Crawl, a real estate agent whose career transform embodies resilience, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Now, Genevieve's story, the reason we really want to have her on is it begins with challenges of relying solely on relocation leads. I don't want to say solely, but a lot of her business that was provided by her company, which is a common dependency many agents face. However, facing a pivotal moment in her career, Genevieve realized the need for a significant shift in her business strategy, making many shifts, but what I noticed was two transformative decisions that she chose to focus on her sphere of influence and also developed a standout value proposition, actions that would propel her from a struggling agent to an industry leader. So stay tuned as we delve into strategies, insights, and mindset shifts that Genevieve utilized to achieve her remarkable transformation. From the hurdles she encountered to the lessons that she gleaned, today's episode is brimmed with practical insights and actionable advice. So whether you're a novice or aspiring to advance in your real estate career, you're going to find Genevieve's story and lessons invaluable. I know I did. So let's get started. Welcome, Genevieve.
Hey, Amber.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you on. Your story truly inspires me and has inspired the entire coaching community. And I'm excited that you're here today.
Well, I'm always happy to talk to you. I mean, part of me feels like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, let's just dive right into a little bit about your background. Can you share a bit about your background and what led you to a career in real estate?
Sure. So I did go to business school. Ironically, I did have a concentration in entrepreneurship. So always been entrepreneurship minded. And I owned a wine store with my husband. And I would say that was a really fun part of my life, but not very financially profitable. I used to say we drank our profits. Or wine. And so it wasn't great financially, but I loved being a business owner. But then I had my first daughter, and it was so difficult to be a wine store owner. I would be at wine tastings with her in the carrier, and
Mm.
very quickly, I mean, within the first few weeks, I realized, yeah, this isn't going to work. And so I sold the store. I tried to be a stay-at-home mom for like a hot second. Like I think like 1 week, that was it. And I remember like checking my emails and there'd be nothing there. And it was just like, no, I'm not happy. But then I faced a couple of things. Number one, I didn't want to go to corporate America because I already had been a business owner, and I loved that business owner aspect. I also, didn't want to put a newborn into daycare. And so I wasn't quite sure how to manage motherhood, feeding my entrepreneurship soul. And it actually was my stepmom who had recommended real estate. And I never had thought about it before. And she was like, it's great. You still get to work with people. You get to do your own business, and you can still incorporate wine into with wine tastings for clients and wine gifts. I was like, this sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
So like many other people, it wasn't a career. It was kind of a career you usually come to as a later point in life, a different career. So it did take me personally a while to get my license just because I was a new mom. So while I was getting my license, I did kind of reach out. I didn't know what I was doing. This was brand new. So I reached out, of course, to the top real estate brokerage in our area that does luxury listings because I just shot for the top.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I had no idea. It actually, they had an opening for an admin, just like answering the phone, being the admin for the broker. And they said, we just need somebody in a few days a week. You can work on getting your license while you're even here. And I thought that would be great because I could kind of dip my toes into it.
Mhm.
And once I got my license there, then I immediately got to join that team. And it was a luxury real estate team, top in our area in South Lake. And I mean, this was a decade ago, so things were done a little bit differently. So much has changed in the last year. But one of the
Yeah.
things that I learned was how to provide the ultimate service for clients, because at that time, the luxury listings are everything over a million, which is still luxury. But I mean, we
Yeah.
would do 1 million to 4 million, a year ago, 10 years ago. And there's a certain level of service you have to give. And so I
Yeah.
only learned from the beginning how to give that top level service. But being on that team, it was almost still like an admin to the broker, even like a licensed assistant, I kind of felt like it was. So
Mm.
I relied on that. I'd never brought my own business in. A lot of the times, a lot of my friends would think, oh, well, she only does the luxury listings, right? Which kind of was the point, because I was just doing her listings. And then that company was acquired, and it just felt like the right time to leave after a number of years. So then I went to a big box brokerage, and I'd never nurtured my sphere. So I joined their relocation team, which
Okay.
was really great because that split was more than what I was making as like a licensed assistant. Um, but it changed a lot in some different ways. So um, number one, when you're on a relocation, you're competing, right? So there's always two brokers to do a BMA, and a broker market
Mm.
analysis.
So it's a
And
system set up for
the
competition.
system, yeah, you have to set up. And I wasn't I wasn't winning them initially. And I was like, well, what's going on? Why can't I get them? So then I realized I really had to put an awesome value driven, my value proposition together. So then I thought, well, why don't I just
No, you're good.
okay. So I started then all of a sudden, because I really narrowed in on my value proposition, which is essentially all listings, all sellers will get the same level of service. I started winning almost all the broker market analysis, all the relo listings I would go on to, which was fantastic. But there were some huge challenges with that I'd like to share, and how then why I switched to my sphere. So anyway, I'm sorry. That's how I got into real estate.
No, that's all good. We need to hear about the journey. But I know we have people listening that are going to be like, well, what do you mean value proposition? And I know it would take probably hours to go into how cool your value proposition is, but what were the things are you saying that you decided, hey, instead of only providing these extra things or this creme de la creme service, kind of clarify for our audience, like instead of just doing that for luxury listings, you're saying you started doing that for everyone. So everybody got that, or what does that mean?
Yeah. So when I did initially leave the luxury brokerage and then went to the big box one and didn't have that book of business, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I remember people saying, well, our house wouldn't be good because you wouldn't do that stuff for us because we're not a luxury listing. And
Mm,
part of that would be, like, as an example, I think the biggest thing is staging, which is what I'm known
mm,
for. So we would have an in-house stager that we worked with initially. And then I realized, well, why can't I do staging? So
yeah.
we actually now today, and for the last, I would say 6 or 7 years, I've had an in-house stager. So I work with a full-time interior designer, and she stages all of our listings. We have multiple storage units full of decor. So anything from working with the same photographers that do the multi-million dollar listings, all the technology now, from 3D tours to the videography,
Mm-hmm.
the social media ads, the staging, the virtual edits. I mean, I can go on, but all of that stuff we would offer to all of our clients. it is a heavy financial investment, but what I realized was if I did all of those, number one, the home sold faster, usually sold for more money, and
Yes.
almost, if you look on the back end, it would pay for itself.
Hmm.
It would make sellers a lot happier. I have a saying where sellers and clients in general, they don't know what they want and they don't know what they need until they see it. So then when I would put that into this beautiful, I have a keynote like PowerPoint presentation and we go over every single thing that we do along our process, they go, oh, wow. And this may be stuff that everybody else does, but maybe they don't position it and share it with, the client so they don't know, what
Yeah.
they need.
And it also makes you more referable for sure. So
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point, what were your main challenges that you faced when relying predominantly on relocation leads from your company?
Yeah. So I implemented, we're gonna do to your house everything that we do to, all the price points. People loved it. So then all of a sudden I started, getting all the business, which was great. But the challenges were twofold. Number one, I felt like I was working a lot, but I wasn't making any money
Okay,
because,
tell me about that.
well, not the amount of money that you would expect, right? So, people go, "Oh my gosh, you've closed, this much. You must be, rolling in bank or this, that." And I'm like, why aren't I? And it was two reasons. Um, and I felt like I had as money and time that I was lacking. So number one, relocation comes with huge splits. So and referral
Mhm.
fees, because that's the relocation company usually can take up to 45% in a referral fee.
Wow.
And then on top of that, the broker has a very steep slope because it is a relo um, business that's given. So when you take away the referral fee, you take away the split, and then now you take away all these value added services that I was
Mm,
adding. Um,
yeah.
the the margin was a lot slimmer,
Yeah.
and I mean it was still enough that I was supporting my family, which was great, a lot more than, drinking wine did. But I remember, and it was 2020. That was a big year for me in real estate. But it was the hardest year. I had like no time because not only was I working a lot of deals, but relo requires a lot more time, in my opinion. You have a lot of more reports and stuff that are due.
Yeah. So
Um,
much paperwork.
yeah, and I remember actually talking to you, and you were saying you need leverage. We also said you need to focus on your own business, but you said you need to probably hire an admin. And I said, I don't have money to hire an admin. I don't have, and I was like, but how do I not have this money if I'm doing this many deals? And that's when it kind of clicked, two of those things. Number one, I do need an admin. I'm offering services that sellers do like because I am
Yes.
winning this, but it's not working because I'm giving over half of the money to somebody else. But if I switch this and if I just focused on my sphere, wow, I could hire an admin, have my life back, make more money, and help more people. And
Yes.
it was almost like a no-brainer at that point, but it was kind of nerve-wracking to just say, okay, am I going to give up that source of big business and kind of what's it called, golden handcuffs? It kind of felt a little.
Yes. Yeah, because you can't it's hard to do both because you're so busy doing the reload that how do you also focus on your sphere? So yeah, absolutely. You had to make a decision, but it sounded like you started having an epiphany.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I mean, a lot's happened in the last few years. I would say I made that shift 4 years ago. Um, and gosh, it just seems like a lifetime slash nightmare that I'm out of now, which is good.
So what were the first steps that you took after deciding and having that epiphany of, gosh, I've got the value proposition. You
Hmm.
developed that.
Yeah.
and you developed a way to attract sellers and a way to stand out amongst the competition. But you've had an epiphany now that this doesn't just apply to relo. Everyone loves this. Sellers love this. So what were the first steps that you took after you decided, okay, I need to start building my own business and focus on my sphere?
Yeah. So, like you said, the value proposition, I felt like I had that. I felt like at that point I had the knowledge base, but I was like, how do I apply that to the people that I know to get them to hire me? And I would say there were a couple of things. So number one, I once heard somebody say, it's not that you weren't hired for the job, it's that you were never even an option because they didn't know who you were. So I had to
Wow.
make myself an option. And there's a lot of different ways on how you can do that. Some people would, go to different networkings and join different clubs. But for me, I have two daughters. They're still young, and we're talking about 4 years ago. And they're 9 and 11 now, so they were little. And so for me, it was social media is really where I decided to put my effort. And if I can be truthful, I joined your coaching program at the time because I thought what I'm doing isn't working. It's not sustainable mentally and financially. And I love this business and I need to make a way to work. And so the philosophy of kind of marketing to your sphere, that made sense, like I said. And one of the things that I had learned from you and from other people is don't be a secret agent. So you need to kind of put yourself out there. But the biggest difference I find on how I put myself out there is I like to provide value driven content. And it's value driven content to homeowners
Mhm.
because you can't just try to always sell, 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 right? But people that are homeowners, they actually really enjoy learning different things from, taking care of your home values, but then also value driven content for buyers, sellers, first time home buyers. It's not just always showing pretty houses or proof of success, but by just like how you provide value in a listing appointment, provide value in the content that
Absolutely.
you're putting out there.
Yeah.
So I liked video. And at the time, video when I started, I mean, it wasn't a big thing. I feel like now it's so massive and you have to kind of figure out it's just more I don't think you have a choice anymore. But back then it was kind of a new thing. So I started doing videos.
Yeah. And you were really good. You were very consistent at putting out your videos um, a lot on social media. And I know you emailed them out to your database too, but social media is where you posted a lot of the videos that you worked on with Sphere. And just kind of growing that presence for people and providing value, which is, what it's all about. It isn't about selling. It's about relationship building and providing value, but you actually have to be in front of the people. So
Mhm.
you stopped and started focusing on your sphere. And I don't want to downplay this for people because it's a big deal in your business, but also a big deal for your audience to hear that you were already successful. You just weren't netting the money and you just weren't as much as you could have. And you also were not living the life you wanted as far as having enough time with your kids and stuff. And by
No, yeah,
focusing on your sphere is a big deal.
yeah, and even though I was, in my opinion, successful in one way, um, I didn't have to market myself to my sphere because for the last several of years, had been on a team with, a luxury broker and then went over to Relo. So the business was given to me. So
Right.
to make that shift, at first it's kind of like a slow, it's like, oh my God, is this going to work? Because nobody's calling me versus so it took a while
Because they'd never heard, they weren't hearing from you before.
I was just doing my job just like my husband does his job. He doesn't post on social media or tell other people about his job. And I was just doing my job. And
Yeah.
so it did change. And I will say I hear now I have agents underneath me, and I have to constantly tell them, like, you're not a nuisance. Like, don't be a secret agent. Put yourself out there. You need to brand yourself as the market expert.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it took a while, but then people would like, you don't always get the comments or the feedback online. But then I do meet people like, oh, we love your videos. We always watch your videos. And I'm like, oh, somebody is watching. And even now, I recently did a video on foundation.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between a structural engineer and a foundation company? And when should you have a foundation company come versus a structural engineer? And I didn't get like many comments on publicly, but then I started to get text messages and private messages and people saying, oh my God, I showed my husband that we have cracks, and so people were finding value from that.
Yeah.
And then those are the people that actually refer me the most, because they go,
Yeah.
oh, you have to talk to this person. They know what they're talking about.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because this happens on a daily basis with our coaching clients. Is they will say the exact same thing as you. I experienced the same thing too, where I would be at church and somebody would say, oh my gosh, Amber, I love getting your videos. I think my neighbor's moving. I gave them your name. And I'm sitting there in shock because they've never replied to a single video note. They've never commented to my video on social media. But you are planting seeds, and you don't see a harvest without planting seeds. But I always tell people, think about a garden. When you are planting seeds and watering it, you don't see the evidence right away, right? We're so impatient and we're like, but I don't see the plant growing, or I don't see the flowers blooming. And it's like, it takes time, and you cannot expect to see results immediately. And a lot of those things are happening behind the scenes, and they don't need you right now, is what it means when they're not replying. But when they do, you are top of mind. So I think that's going to resonate with our audience, because we try so many things and we don't always see the immediate results. So we stop and we start doing something else. And it's not that it's not working, you just don't see it yet. So I'm glad you were faithful.
Yeah. And, I would say I've been doing this now, trying videos, like kind of the thing that I feel comfortable with on trying to grow. And even now, sometimes you can get discouraged, but yeah, you just have to keep doing it. And then it's all of a sudden something will pop out of it. And you're like, okay, that's why I do this. That's why. And I will say email, is one of those things that I think you can discount, but it's probably even more important right now with social media. I feel like at one point, social media was like my number one thing, but now I find like there's so much going on. It's so saturated that the emails are getting more attention than some of my social media, because I'm not fighting so much versus going into the inbox. But
I notice you're still doing both, because you want to hit them everywhere, right?
Yeah,
but it's good to
I'm
know.
doing I put the videos all over
Everywhere.
the place, hoping it will get them somewhere. But with the video, I mean, with the emails, and same thing with posting. Like, I don't believe in not canned content, but where it just needs to be value. Value driven, whether it's online or in your emails. I know sometimes brokers have like these like January, monthly emails with cooking recipes that has nothing to do with
and it doesn't separate you from the competition.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're a market expert. When they're seeing your foundation video, even if they don't have a foundation that needs to be fixed, they're having confidence in you, saying, oh my gosh, she is so knowledgeable about this. Like, she's, they probably know a lot of agents, but you're the knowledgeable one. And to them, if you're the one putting out the content,
100%.
They're going to call you, right? And this shift was big. Now, I know a lot of people had a lot of good years, and people are not going to brag on themselves, but I want people to understand, you went from relying on somebody else for your leads, always being an amazing agent. And that's always key. I mean, it's a given to my audience that if you're not referable in the first place, it doesn't matter what marketing strategy you use. So you learn to take a solid value proposition and exceptional customer service is what you're known for. But going from relying on somebody else to your leads to making a massive shift that was a little risky at first, to growing your own business with sphere of influence, or your sphere. When you did that and you start growing a sphere list, I know people don't like to brag on themselves, but you completely turned your business around. And I remember one night when we went to dinner to celebrate your success. I don't remember the exact numbers, Genevieve, but I
I'm like,
remember
what
that year was
story is she going to tell?
one of yours. You're gonna panic. While we were all drinking. No, I'm kidding. No, I remember that year we were also having dinner with another person from the coaching program, and you two were neck and neck with your GCI, and building businesses on Sphere. And I remember you were either close to or exceeded $700,000 in gross commission income. Am I remembering right during
Yeah,
that dinner?
yeah, I believe so. I would have to look that. Yeah, I
But
mean,
anyway, the point being is you did make that shift. And now
mhm,
you are not relying, are you relying on any relocation at this point? Or are you 100% building
none.
your business on your own?
None.
One.
So I own my own brokerage now. Um, and boutique brokerage. And when I left the big box, I thought, well, what happened was I had a lot of relocation clients call me, and because they're always moving, and they wanted me to come list their house. And in order to list their house, you have to be in the relo program. So I was like, well, okay, I got away from that, but I still want to service my existing clients, and they, I'll do it for them. And I remember, like, I called, I think, which company it was, and they sent me all the paperwork, and you have to take all this additional licensing. It costs money to join. And I remember being up one night filling the whole stupid thing out. And then I was like, what am I doing? Even to sign it up was more work, and they were going to take still the 45%. And I just said, you know what, I'm not doing this. And so I told them, I'm so sorry. I can't, I just had to turn it off. And I don't regret doing that. And so I could spend my time and my money and my effort towards building what I'm trying to build today.
I love that. And yeah, so that's quite a mix, going from being on someone else's team to a broker relying on Relo, to building your own business and then starting your own brokerage and your own team. Wow, talk about that's the ladder of an entrepreneur, right? Now, having said that, there is a saying, new levels, new devils, so that brings me to my question of, when you overcome challenges, how do you overcome them, and what do you do to stay motivated? Because at each level is new challenges, and each market also brings new challenges.
Yeah. So I feel like we're always learning in life. I mean, always. Um, but at the same time, I feel like there's people that have already usually gone through what you're going through, and you can learn from them. And so for me, it's constantly new challenges, and that's, of course, not even just with work. It's in motherhood. How do I handle it? Right now I'm in preteens. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what's going on with my
Go
11-year-old
back to the wine
daughter?
store.
And so it's about learning from other people. And so I personally am a podcast YouTube junkie, where for me, I'm constantly, like, I'm a sponge. I just want to listen and soak it all up. And so, I'm trying to find different, you know, things like this that you're doing. It would have been very helpful to listen to, for somebody that might be in a similar position. So for me, I'm always trying to search out higher levels conversations that are going on in real estate that might apply to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Always learning.
yeah, I'm a real estate conference junkie. Like I'm always sitting in, and I love to follow some of these, big people in California and New York, and kind of like, what are they doing? There's a lot of information out there. You have to find it. And so instead of kind of almost like writer's block, right? If I get
Mm.
stuck in like, what do I do now? I'm trying to search out that answer, and just listen. I'm always, like I said, doing dishes. I'm always listening to something so I can try to figure that out
Always
and stay
learning,
motivated. Yeah,
always
and stay
pivoting.
motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
That and taking lots of
Um,
vacations. I love my vacations. Sometimes I feel like there's such a high rate of burnout in this industry. And when I take
mm,
a vacation and I can relax, it's almost like it does open up the pathways in my head and brings in new energy that allows me to then focus on like pivoting. I'm sorry, that's me. Okay.
that's okay. Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that because a lot of people do burn out. Almost every agent burns out, if not quarterly. And if you don't take time for yourself, not only is it helping you to relax and rejuvenate, to me, it, like you said, it it almost helps you to dream to hit that next level because there's more things you want to accomplish. And it's easier to think about those when you're actually having fun, when you're not in the trenches. Um, so that's a great piece of advice. But what other advice would you give to real estate agents who are currently facing some challenges or are just getting started? What would you tell them?
Well, I can tell you what I tell, my team and my agents right now. Um, so number one, you need to grow your sphere, right? So, because especially right now, in the market, it's a little more difficult where just the sheer amount of real estate transactions has gone down drastically. So you need to cast a wider net. So we need to grow the sphere. So,
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
and for me, like, again, it's organically, it's like, okay, well, my kids are doing this. I want to try to friend every single mom, that's at the acting studio, for my community HOA. I'm trying to pretty much friend everybody in, the neighborhood. So you can try to grow that with people that you see on a regular basis. And then again, start creating value driven content. Don't be that secret agent. And if you're nervous, like I start off small just to get comfortable. So like I have some agents where maybe they're really heavy in Facebook. Like I know we're the older, we're Facebook people. So, they're all on Facebook and they may not be on Instagram. So a lot of my agents aren't on Instagram so much, but they're on Facebook.
Mhm.
And I told them, well, start doing stories on Instagram because you just have a little bit and just get comfortable with that.
Mhm.
And then I often find once they start to get comfortable with the value driven content in there, then they're okay doing it on Facebook stories. And then all of a sudden now they're doing reels and I'm trying to work them into video emails now. So,
Yeah.
I think starting off small, make sure it's value driven. And you can use, I mean, the technology now with like Chat GPT. If you're looking for ideas or scripts, you can use that. Even going through your realtor.com magazine every month. But whether it's from your content or your presentations, you need to prove your value, and just put everything down and kind of figure out how you want to position yourself.
Yes. I love that. Are there any upcoming projects or goals that you're excited about?
You know, excited and equally terrified. I will be honest, I am more listing focused. That is, I mean, I think I got that from, I've always just like all the three brokers I've been with, it's always been
Yeah,
listings.
excellent.
And so I really feel like I know my value proposition when it comes to selling. We have a beautiful listing presentation. Well, with the, three-letter bad word right now, NAR, uh, we're now
Everybody's favorite.
yeah, we're going to have to really prove our value on the buy side.
Yeah.
And to be truthful, I do not have an equal level of presentation on the buy side as I do on the list side.
Okay.
And that's something that is going to have to be put into place. So I am working so that, for all my agents, we can start having, we already do buyer consults, but they're not like presentations, and so that is something that I'm working on, putting pen to paper. What is our value proposition on the buy side? And again, it's one of those things where I don't think buyers don't know what they need until you tell them. Same thing with sellers. And so that is a big project. And I think all of us are going to be doing that. But that's something that I really want to make sure it blows people out of the water, just like on the list side, where it becomes a no-brainer why we want to hire you, because of the value that you offer. And I need to do that on the buy side. So I am working on that over the next few months and I really want to make sure that that's in line with our brand and, our philosophy.
I love it. And that's going to be so important for so many agents. It's something that a lot of us just haven't had to do in the past. And it's going to be a crucial moment for the upcoming months, sooner than we think. And they might be listening to this podcast later where this is already implemented. So definitely having a value proposition for your entire business, whether it be for why somebody should be on your team, whether it should be for a seller, for a buyer, and really just having those standards, because not everyone's your ideal client, so you want to have your standards set, your value proposition set. And that's something that you've just been so good at, Genevieve. So is there anything else you want to tell us before we start to wind down? Is there anything I should be asking you that I'm not, or any last minute thoughts that you want to share with our audience?
Well, I think if I could go back and do it all over again, I just wish I would have done it sooner. I think people, especially if you're new in this industry, and I mean, everybody at some point they're just nervous. And if you come, I feel like
you would have done real estate sooner or the sphere sooner?
The sphere sooner.
Yeah.
I wish I would have relied on that. I mean, started marketing myself sooner. I feel like there was so much lost time. And so, growing your sphere and marketing to them, it's so important. So I wish I would have done it sooner, but I'm grateful for where I am, obviously. But I think I can tell you, I see too many agents who are so hesitant to do it. And then some agents that just don't do well and end up getting out of the industry, but I don't think they ever really gave it 100%. And what could have been, you'll never know.
Yeah, because of that fear of, I don't want to damage relationships, or I don't want to seem salesy. We have this huge cloud over us for some reason about reaching out to our sphere. And in fact, not only is it what's going to make you a better agent, it's going to make you enjoy your job better. But I want you to think about it from the sphere's perspective. This is for our audience. People want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. So you're actually doing them a service as long as you're coming about it value driven. You've heard Genevieve say that multiple times here. Our motto is, when you send things, it should be all about them and what's in it for them, meaning value-based content, not just about you. And when you do that, people want to hear from you. And even when they're not responding, you've heard both of us say testament to the fact that it is working. So continue to water those seeds. Thank you so much, Genevieve, for being here with us today. I want to really make sure that the audience has the crucial takeaway today. And I feel like you've done that so vividly, that there is so much importance in making your sphere of influence the foundation of your business, and having a value proposition that separates you from the competition. Now, your transformation, Genevieve, from depending on external leads to leveraging your personal and professional network, is a testament to the power and the potential of nurturing your close connections or your sphere of influence. It's not just about the transactions, people. It's about building relationships that thrive on trust, value, and mutual respect. So many of you that are listening, the idea of recentering your business around your sphere might seem daunting, Or you may wonder where to begin, and that's where we come in. If you need any help, our coaching is designed to help agents like you become the default choice for referrals within your network. And we focus on strategies that enhance your visibility, your value, and your connection to your community, ensuring that when someone thinks of real estate, they think of you first. So I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to you, Genevieve, for joining us today and for sharing your inspiring story. I just love you to pieces. Your journey is a powerful reminder of what's possible when we dare to redefine our approach and invest in relationships that really matter. So thank you all of you for tuning in. Here's to building a business that not only thrives, but also enriches the lives of those that are around us. And remember, you do have everything you need to succeed. All you have to do is take daily imperfect action. Get that sphere built up. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.